Welcome to your Grand Theatre. Come on in. My name is Tara Lee Heslop and I am the current chair of the Indian Head Theatre and Community Arts Inc., otherwise known as Your Grand Theatre. I have been on the board from its inception over 6 years ago and was involved with the initial fundraising campaign. So it's been part of my life for at least 8 years. Grand Theatre, previously known as the Indian Head Opera House, was built in 1904, and at the time it was the first opera house between Winnipeg and Vancouver. And we believe it is the longest continually run venue of its kind in all of Canada, which is pretty cool. The theatre was built by Arthur James Osmond, who moved west to build the Bell Farm. And the theatre, you will notice, has these wonderful buff-colored bricks that are quite common to see in our community. They are sourced from the Pelchet brick plant, which is located just at the bottom of the hill at Katepwa Lake. And the Pelchet family was a prominent Métis family of the area. The brick interior walls are 4 bricks thick as well, so it's a really solid structure that, thankfully, because it means it's still standing here today and hopefully will be standing for another 100 years to come. You can see the shingles that look like bricks on the side here, and those are covering the original windows into the auditorium. Obviously they were covered up to help ensure that you have a dark space for the movies. We would love to uncover them and at least show where those windows are and what they would look like, even if it's back painted glass that you can't see from the inside. As well, the exterior will need a couple additional egress points leaving the theatre as part of the new renovation plan, so those will also potentially line up with some of the original windows. This is the original auditorium, and originally it would not have had fixed seating. When it became a movie theatre, there was a bylaw in place that the seating had to become fixed, and that is kind of the time when it transitioned from being more of a performing arts facility to solely a movie theatre. Through the years, there's been quite a few different theatre seats installed here. The ones that you see here currently, we have been told, originally came from the Capitol Theatre in Regina, so we think that's kind of a neat fact. A lot of things have changed in the interior here. The curved wall at the front was added and the balcony was taken out, but the wainscoting along the lower half of the wall is still all original. Of course, it's been painted numerous times, so it's not the original finish, but it is the original look. So although the ceiling tile is painted, it is the original ceiling tile that was put in 1904. It is one of, I believe, only 2 commercial buildings in downtown Indian Head that still have the original tile ceiling. As we head backstage, we're just behind the curved wall that was added near the front of the protruding stage, and you can see the scarring on the wall that shows evidence of where the original balcony would have been. So over the years, we've heard many stories, and one of the stories has to do with the balconies. So there used to be balconies here in the theatre, and one of the stories I was told, and I won't tell you by who because we don't want to get in much trouble, but the story he told me was that there was a lovely audience full of ladies and gentlemen all dressed up, and he and his buddy had been drinking a little bit, and his buddy got sick and threw up down into the audience onto the people that were sitting there. So you just never know what's happened here at the Grand Theatre. So this is the original backstage. It is a fly tower here that remains basically untouched over the years. There's still some original hemp ropes, the catwalks. So that's where they would drop the backdrop scenes down for the show. We believe it's one of the few catwalks or original historic catwalks remaining in any theatre in Canada. So as we mentioned, this was built as an opera house. This is the original opera stage. The very first opera that was shown here was Faust. And in that opera, the devil comes rising up through the floor, surrounded by flames. So no sooner had they finished building this stage than they had to cut a hole in it for the devil to come up through. This fly is part of a backdrop from an early operetta. It was from the Gondoliers, which played here in 1925. So one of the great traditions of the Grand Theatre, which dates back all the way to 1904, is having performers sign the walls back here in the original stage. We do have signatures right back to 1904, and we continue to have every performer sign the walls today, including our local high school when they perform, whether it's for band or high school production. Our summer Globe Theatre Camp kids also have signed the wall. Back here, there's an amazing variety of signatures from the last few decades. All right, we're gonna head down to the original green room. So this is the original green room. It's directly underneath the stage, and this is where all the performers would get ready to perform. Over the years, it's been used as a bit of a workshop. Recently, we have dealt with the foundation and repointed all of the stone and brick. Another feature that I'd like to point out, you can kind of see this hollowed out area. That was the original orchestra pit that was in front of and below the opera stage in the early days. So you'll see this is the bottom side of that hole in the stage floor where the devil was brought up through down here. So he would have been down here, stood on that, and there was a crank system that they cranked him up onto the stage.
And it still works today?
I believe so. There was a crank somewhere. And you can see how it's just fastened in. Like there's two bolts there fastening it. So now we're going through the original basement. Not a very wonderful spot to hang out. We are told that there was an airplane built down here. Arthur had a very eccentric cousin who liked to do experiments, and he built a plane down here one year. Now what you're seeing is more of the sets that were painted and designed for some of the early operas. Again, we're told that Walter, Arthur's son, painted a great deal of these. Stonemason was fixing all the foundation walls back here. He found that interesting brick pattern, which always denotes either a window or a door. When we discovered this, he started digging a bit, and all of a sudden the floor gave through. We were sort of hoping for tunnels of moose straw, but ended up with a well that kind of goes between this building and the apartments beside. But Arthur built this entire block, so he probably thought it was efficient to have a well that worked for both places. The projection booth was added when it became a full-time movie theater. This space originally was part of the living quarters of the apartment, but due to how flammable film is, it was a law that you had to have your projectors and film in an entirely metal-clad room with no openings in it. Great. So this is one of two carbon arc rod projectors that were used to show film here at the theater right up until 2014 when we took over the theater and upgraded to digital equipment. So it's a really cool machine. We have two of them that will always keep it for sure, one on display so that people can see how the rods would light and show the 35mm film in years gone by. So the Opera House, or now known as the Grand Theatre, was privately owned up until 2014. In 2013, the community became aware that we were at risk of losing the theatre, and everybody banded together. We created a not-for-profit and fundraised to purchase the theatre and upgrade the movie equipment. These reels are in recognition of some of our amazing donors that helped to ensure we saved this wonderful place. So as part of that initial fundraising campaign to save the theatre and bring it under community ownership, we sold the seats. So on the back of the seats, you'll see people's names, and those are the wonderful donors that helped ensure we save this place and keep it in our community. So one of the things that the theatre board was really excited to do, and that the community wanted to support, was bringing back really the true purpose of the Opera House, where live events became more popular again within our programming, and it's not just a movie theatre, it's so much more. Today we currently have about one live performance a month, and that varies from OSAC sponsored musicians, we've had magicians, we've had hypnotists, as well as our local community theatre group performs 2 to 3 times a year. We love when the high school drama kids, as well as the elementary school, comes and performs the plays and musicals that they're working on. One of our newer endeavors over the last couple of years is starting to use our lobby to display visual arts. And that's been something that we've been working towards, and we're really excited when we can finish the apartment space, because that will be the true art gallery. But for now, the lobby is a small art gallery that we like to feature our local artists, and in the future we'll see some touring shows through the OSAC program as well. So although we are so much more than movies, movies are still a big part of the Grand Theatre. We have movies every weekend, other than those weekends that we have live shows. But what makes a person want to come to a movie here compared to somewhere else? Well, it's a pretty cool venue. We also sometimes like to make an event out of the movie. So in January we had Frozen 2 and had a Frozen party, and Elsa came and took pictures with the kids and even sang a few songs before the show started. It was pretty cool. To a sold out crowd, of course. So we also are very lucky to have some other amazing groups and organizations that we're able to partner with. So we partner with Center 48 and have fiddle, violin, and guitar lessons happening at the Grand Theatre. In partnership with them, we have also partnered with the Natural History Society and held environmental and wildlife lectures. We've even been blessed to have great partnerships with Globe Theatre, not only from a performance standpoint, but in working with our youth and running summer theatre camps and other workshops. We also have partnered with the museum multiple times in multiple different ways. So we've had quite a few Culture Days projects where we've partnered with the museum and the local stage left players and have hosted plays as well as performers, and most recently this last year the screening of the Métis Knowledge Keepers, which was phenomenal. And we have also had the museum displays here featured in the lobby. So some of the wonderful artwork that you'll see in the museum, or maybe you don't get a chance to see in the museum, we try and bring into the lobby of the theatre during the winter and fall when they are closed. So in the first few years, we saved the structure of the building by replacing the entire roof and retouching the entire foundation, which now allows us to really have some fun and think about the future and what all this place could be for the community. We have some conceptual design ideas here that were developed with Hindle Architects through a lot of community consultation. And the big change that you'll see is this apartment space, which I am so excited about. It'll be a multi-use, multi-purpose arts and cultural space, whether it's hosting a small house concert style event or our local community theatre players doing drama practice or art classes. It will also be the local art gallery, so we will have a spot for additional artwork. One of the main reasons why we're excited to get renovations under the way is to increase accessibility into the building and throughout the building. You'll see a ramp coming into the theatre. The floors in the lobby will be re-sloped to a better grade. We will have gender neutral and universally accessible washrooms, as well as a relocation of the concession and new entry into the theatre itself. Currently, we call the balcony or the mezzanine. As you can see, it is very underdeveloped, and part of our future renovation plans, this will have a proper sound tech booth for plays as well as when musicians are here to perform. It will also include some VIP seating and a two-way bar. Our renovation plans for the basement, the area directly under the original stage, is to turn it back into the green room for performers. So there'll be at least one bathroom and the green room and a few other things. So as a theatre, one of our values is to be more than just a theatre and to have an impact on the community as a whole, whether it's drawing people in from a tourism aspect and benefiting other local businesses. We have found that when we have live events, 70% of our audience quite often is coming to town from outside of Indian Head. And with that, they're coming and they're having supper at our local restaurants. Even if they attend a matinee on a Sunday, they might go for a golfing game first as well. We also are huge advocates of ensuring that we have young students employed to work concessions so that they have that opportunity for some of that early job experience and developing those skills to be able to move on to bigger and better things. We've been really lucky to have the Indian Head High School call the theatre home for many years, as they were competing with space in the school to have dedicated practice time without basketballs bouncing and other things. On a day-to-day normal operation period, we really rely on community support and people attending events. That is the number one way to support the theatre and to ensure that we keep doing what we're doing and expanding and creating more opportunities for you to be part of. Obviously, we always gratefully accept donations. As you've seen some of the pans of some of the spaces in the theatre that we have plans for, we will definitely be needing some additional money. Support through past Chase the Ace has been incredible, and we definitely have funds allocated for work through that and have been applying for big grants. So hopefully you'll be seeing some action soon. One of the many reasons that myself and so many of the board are so passionate about saving the theatre and expanding programming is because we truly believe arts and culture should be accessible to all people, even in rural communities. And we also believe that art and exposure to art make us better people.